Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Sockers and the Major Arena Soccer League. Coming to you live on San Diego Football. It's great to be here with you. With Tony Sanchez, I'm Craig Elston. Thursday, April 10th, 2 days later than normal, but still firing for the 14th straight week. Season 7 of Soccer's Overtime. Episode 14 is pretty straightforward. It's the Ron Newman Cup Finals preview because the Sockers are there and the Savage are there. And it's just what you would have said the first day of the preseason. It's just what you would have said, and that's what it is. It's these teams for the fourth straight year. Locking horns with elimination looming, but this time a cup looming on the end as well. Tony, the man of many faces when it comes to the Disneyland automatic snap photos. Many faces and many moods. How are you today? Frozen? Locked out, apparently, is the answer. Wow. How do you think Tony feels? Let me know in the chat. It's great for me to be here. I saw Tony's thing go spinny. I can see he's still manipulating behind the scenes. Oh, hey, you're back.
No, we're back. Much like the rides at Disneyland, I had to get a hard reset, and you know what? We're good to go. But it was an absolute pleasure to be part of the Spanish language commentary for the Ron Newman Cup playoffs. So we got really like a bird's eye view in a different sense. The other side. It was cool seeing you across and just waving you from time to time. You and Farber.
Loved it. And guess what? It's going to continue on Sunday as Tony and Pablo Morales will have the Spanish language broadcast on MASL TV of the Sockers and Savage Game 1. And Farbs and I will be on the English language side on CBS Sports Golazo Network again. So it's kind of crazy, frozen tone that we started the year together and we're together all the way through, but now we're also together on opposite ends of the stadium. And it's okay. It's okay. It's just fine. Tony will be back momentarily. There he is.
Hey, it's all good. I missed you. I just, the other side of the aisle has it's like a mirror, right? Everything that's on the right, it's on the left. It's very, very tricky. So I just got to get my bits about me here. But hey, at least we have the great Senor Craig. It was cool hearing you guys back with Farber as well.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's fun either way. I love having you there. Over the course of today, I thought at one point that you were in the booth with me. At one point, Farber was in the booth with me. And at one point, both of you were going to be together with me. And then now we're back to where we are. And that's how it works in the Major Arena Soccer League. That's how it goes. It's a Demary Beth. It's a big, beautiful circle. And we wind up right where we were when we started. Okay. Here's what we got going on the show tonight. It's very straightforward. We got 2 game recaps, quarterfinals, semifinals. Sockers beat the Strikers. Sockers beat the Blast. We've got the highlights. We'll go through it. We'll talk about both matches from our perspectives from the north and south side of Front Wave Arena. Then we will have MASL news. And MASL news is the rest of the tournament. What happened in the other 3 quarterfinals? What happened in the other semifinal? Big time controversy in the other semifinal that spilled after the match. We'll talk about it all. We'll discuss it all. We'll wrap. And what will Soccer's news be? Soccer's news will be the finals. Game 1, what's coming, what to expect, match preview, all of it coming up on Soccer's Overtime. So that's what we got for you today. It won't be the longest show because we don't have a guest today. The reason we don't have a guest today is I want to thank the Sockers that could come out and help me on a media push the last couple of days. A lot of guys are coaching tonight. A lot of guys have had their own schedules impacted by these playoffs and by the fact that they have to travel to Mexico next week. So as a result, we've already got some stuff lined up for next Tuesday. But for tonight, it was like, hey, I've been asking a lot of the players, let's just go ahead and give those who have the evening, because all we really need to do is dig into the brass tacks of these games and get into the final to be. All right. Tony, broadly, your thoughts as we enter this escapade on what you saw over the course of 3 days at Front Wave Arena.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much from a biased standpoint, the fact that we were able to open the doors of Front Wave Arena and welcome a lot of different pals and coworkers in a lot of senses into our home, and really cool to see them explore as well. And that goes on the pitch, on the carpet, on the floor, as much as it is outside of it. And so I think it was really cool to kind of have this, at stake. There was something at stake. But in a friendly way. But once it was go time, everybody locked in, and you can tell that the MASL really wanted to make that push to make this a premium event. And from what was actually presented on within the walls and within the boards, I couldn't be happier to see just a full.
The full range of quality teams there competing, doing battle, and it's going to be that this evening. Hey, quick update, quick preview what it might be like next Sunday with the Sockers in Chihuahua. How many times have those broadcasts frozen or something gone a little glitch? So we'll get Tony back here momentarily. Oh, full Monty. That could have been it, Eddie. You're right. Full delusion. He'll be back. He's coming back. I agree with Easy Money to some extent. I mean, that final or that semifinal was Milwaukee's to win. Tony, we lost you on the word full.
It was a full of soccer. Full of indoor soccer, and I loved it. I was in my happy place. I was really enjoying my time out there, and I know that everybody who watched it, whether your team was out after the first game or not, really just kind of took in the full breadth of what was out there. Is, you know what, the best of the best doing what they do out, and we were very fortunate to see what we have, and it's not over yet, at least for the Sockers, at least.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll add to that. It was great to see the good people of the Major Arena Soccer League all in the same building. While, there's times where some of those people might feel like they're in the crosshairs of soccer's overtime, whether it's, head officials or, top officials or commissioners or league presidents or various coaches or teams. It was just really cool to have everyone there, to have that kind of Mecca or festival feel for the league. That's good. I think we all agree there's a lot of things that are problematic about a niche league staging a one location tournament. And biggest amongst those is that the Milwaukee Chihuahua semifinal, which was, I think, indisputably the best game of the tournament, had a couple hundred people there, and it filled in as Sockers fans started to get there, and turn in, but it's not what you want. It's not what you want for one of the league's most important games of the year, is to have kind of a mostly empty neutral field, on an afternoon. So I think there are issues. I would personally prefer not to see this format revisited. I would not want to see Utica host an 8-team tournament. I would not want to see Milwaukee host an 8-team tournament, go down the list. I think legs home and away are important because they give each team a chance to draw a crowd, each team a chance to play a playoff game at home. And while there are challenges to drawing home playoff crowds, there's also advantages to drawing home playoff crowds, including memories made that can last for years and decades and lifetimes. So with that, Tony's going to hit reset here, and we're going to get into our first of two match recaps, as the Sockers had that home field advantage. They had the chance to take care of business. Sockers and Empire Strikers on Friday night, decent crowd. And as we roll it and say thanks as always to Eddie Trujillo for the highlights. Soccer's really played strong in what was a very defensive and scoreless first quarter. Things start to open up for a few opportunities for San Diego, and it's going to get started with just here's a preview of it. First of all, Tavoy seeing that a race to his left is slightly open. Same thing will play here as we get to along the wall, and that's just Leo over the top of his shoulder, laying a perfect ball off for Tavoy Morgan. Tavoy running on it, timing his run perfectly to strike first time with the left foot, half volley all the way through the ball. Absolute golazo. Little bit of a dance, 1-0. San Diego with the lead, and for Morgan, one of his most attractive goals of the entire season, I would say, and so important in terms of him showing his one-to-one dominance. Tony Sanchez is back. Hi, Tony. Welcome back.
How are you? Yeah, no, just working through the amount of highlights too, just scrolling in a lot of soccer and finding them as well. Again, thank you, Eddie Trujillo, for that. That's what you want to see out of the team is they were firing on certain cylinders that we were questioning. Maybe this team is going to be pushed in a way that we haven't seen, because Empire have every reason to come in and just empty the clip in this match. But it was a match where the Sockers were soccering, and that's what you want to see. You want to see the consistency. You want to see them find that same answer to the problem that keeps getting presented to them. How are you going to stop Obasi's philosophy? Well, here you go. Exhibit, what letter are we? H at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so
right.
This was good to see the Sockers be able to say, hey, we're going to come into the playoffs, be comfortable, and really showcase what we're capable of. And they were pushed. There were moments where I thought, hey, there might be a chance that Empire can really strike a chord, but it was, if you really paid attention to what Justin Stinson was or was not doing, that's when you saw Empire's reality.
Luis Morales, lovely setup on this set piece, and an even better finish. Another left-footed blast for the first two goals for San Diego. Top of the arc is where the Sockers have looked really good in the postseason and down the stretch. And this used to be a Skoto's play. I remember Skoto scoring this during the Landon Donovan season, this exact play, exact goal. Nonetheless, 2-0 Sockers here. Elston guilty of a little bit of a broadcaster's jinx on this play, as I talked directly about how it seems silly to bring Orozco up in the play when you're trailing, and yet he actually contributes to the run-up to that goal for 2-1. I'll have more thoughts on the system after the highlight reel is over, but there is Fabian doing what he does, which is poaching, being in shooting spots, waiting, trying to get that shot off and then scoring it. And he did it. Well done by Fabian, his final goal of the season, unless you want to count the one he kicks into the crowd at the end of this highlight reel, which we will see a little bit later. So 2-1, and you're starting to think, okay, but Gabriel Costa, one-on-one play, turning Antonio de la Torre around, literally going behind his back and then smashing it into the upper half. A beautiful, beautiful individual effort here by Costa. Gets the steal, turns the player. Orozco can't leave his feet for it. There's nothing he can do. He is paralyzed by the pace of the shot. And Costa restores the 2-goal lead, which the Sockers would never be trailing by more than, or leading, or they would never have Empire be closer than that, is what Craig was trying to say. Now, and here's why. Because 3-1's about to come 4-1, 2-man game. Drew Ruggles, man. Drew Ruggles having his come-out season for San Diego here in his second year.
I mean, we talk about, hey, the classic San Diego Sockers names are showing up, right? And some of these players are starting to become that. They're starting to become the household names that you're going to recognize the Sockers as. And I think, like you said, this is Drew Ruggles coming out season, and he's keeping up with it. He's playing great defensively. Nobody wants to face him. And when he does get challenged, hey, he's going to push back. And the league knows that. But he's also getting it done on the offensive side. Great from Drew Ruggles, and especially Costa, too. Man, he's so good.
4-1 here, just, 3 minutes, 15 seconds into the third quarter. So you'd think that this game's score would go the way of the Blast game and kind of run away. It does not. because what the Obasi system does, the one thing that it definitively does is it increases possession for Empire. It allows them to drastically increase their possession, which allows them to essentially to game tempo down each match, shrink the match in some ways. They're looking for exploitative moments along the way, but most of the time, all it is a bit of a stall, Tony, in my estimation. And as we see here, third quarter, Sockers do a good job. Pardo makes some big saves. Sockers defense makes some big plays along the way, clearing lines. Raymond was right there on aid. Pee Wee later. But I don't think Empire has shown definitively that they can generate offense out of the system consistently.
Yeah, and with this too, your worst enemy is the clock, especially at this point. And if you are staying and being patient with it, I always think about this, right? You're wasting your own time at that point. Like you being a little bit patient, you're going to want those seconds at the end of the match. And maybe if they had an extra minute or two, Empire would have had a chance to come back and spark something, but there was just nothing on the final third for them.
There's a different universe in which what we just saw is a critical error that cost the Sockers the season. 2-0 going down the other way, where Christian Gutierrez, who finishes those basically 90%, lays it off to Serta, hoping to be heroic, and winds up muffing the play. And then about 30 seconds later, there it is, Empire in the back of our net, and 4-1 is 4-2. Instead of 5-1, it's 4-2 the other way. However, this is going to be the final score, 4-2. Sockers challenge for a handball. It looked like it was there. It was ruled as not, which was one of about 4 or 5 handball calls over the course of the weekend, Tony, that I just decided I don't know what a handball is in MASL, and I need to learn a lot better because I don't get it.
I've been looking at that rule book, and I mean, the interpretation is, should be one way, but I have to kind of agree with you where maybe I just don't know the game as well as I thought I did in those moments. But what do I know as a former goalkeeper? I can use my hands anytime. What are you talking about, guys?
We'll get to more of that later for sure. And I've seen some of what was on MASL Monday. I've talked to Rich Grady. Arturo Ibarra was in our booth. He talked to us about some of the plays. So, we'll get into all of that as we continue. So there's game one. Empire season ends 4-2 Sockers. And again, I kind of said it during the run of that, but I think Obasi has done some interesting things with the system. Obviously, if you take away the San Diego results, Empire has a fine season. And if they didn't have to play San Diego in the first round, they would have probably been a light favorite against at least half of the field overall. But they got the short draw. They had to face the Sockers a 6th time. They lost to them a 6th time. And I think over the course of the 4 or 5 games that we really saw the system strikers as opposed to just the strikers, Tony, I think you saw game by game by game San Diego figure out the fairly basic, fairly rudimentary things that they had to do to diffuse that being any kind of offensive system. And then it was a matter of outlasting it, and they did it every time.
And what I will say is that because of the symposium that was there of just people having conversations throughout, one of them I was overhearing Obasi just explain the nuance of this system. And it seems like it's a longer timed. It's not one season that it's going to take for this system to work. And so if that's the case, then, it can be a Chihuahua where eventually they figured it out against San Diego, and we haven't been able to figure it out the other way since then. So is that an eventuality that'll happen? Maybe. But for right now, there's really, just suffering right now before the healing comes through. So Sockers took advantage of that once again and punched their card into the next round.
Yeah. And hey, again, I'll say it. Onoa Obasi got my Coach of the Year award, vote, not award. I don't get to give it up by fiat. He got my vote for Coach of the Year. I think he going from 3 wins to 12 for a franchise is worthy of recognition no matter what. Doing it in a way that kind of confounded a lot of people in the sport, I think, is a separate bouquet that you can give him. And in the end, the Sockers had enough to diffuse the system, and most importantly, to shut down Stinson Bagels in that quarterfinal game. And Tony, I mean, if Stinson doesn't score, how can the Strikers win, honestly?
Yeah, no, you shut down their engine for sure. You have a powerful vehicle, but you still need an engine. Or in that case, Fabian needs to also be fed by some Stinson action. But well done, Sockers, on that one.
Farewell to the Strikers. I know the president of the league thought, there's a pretty decent chance that the Strikers were going to beat San Diego and then win the semi and then go to the finals. Nope. On we go. So San Diego gets the day off, critical, and they get the opportunity to wait to see who comes, and who comes is Baltimore. The Blast with a fairly routine win over, this is probably the game we'll spend the least time on when we get to MASL news. Baltimore beating Utica in a fairly pedestrian manner, pretty much in control of a game that wasn't especially delicious either way. So we get a matchup that on paper is delicious. It's the Sockers and the Blast. It's 26 championships combined. It's the 2 biggest legacy programs in the history of the sport, and it's Charlie Gonzalez 1-0. On my call, I'm noting that we had a good dozen members of the locals that were there and started a Dale Dale San Diego chant right before Charlie San Diego put it in the back of the net. But on a more general level, Tony, set piece magic was a huge part of the weekend for San Diego.
And again, building that consistency of what's made the Sockers this season is set pieces. Charlie Gonzalez doing his thing, doing what he does, is being a marksman in those moments. And he's just so invaluable to the squad. He's the lifeblood of what the San Diego Sockers have been this season.
San Diego kills an early penalty. Serta almost scores a worldie. Really, really close. 1-1 comes on. I just think pretty much the more you watch it, a screenplay. This ball is shot by Victor Pereras through the legs of Mitchell Cardenas. There's a defender in front of Boris. He's a little bit wrong-footed, expecting a pass the other way, and in it goes. Well done. Fair play by Baltimore for 1-1.
Yeah, you just expect those to come up and show up a little earlier as a goalkeeper, but it just appears out of nowhere, and it's a slow roller, but you can really do nothing there in those moments.
Here's your man of the match. Christian Gutierrez beats a double team by himself to create a diagonal run into the attacking zone and then wraps around his body for the goal to make it a 2-1. This is a lead the Sockers would never relinquish, and this is to me, just one of the plays of the weekend, Tony.
Talking about what Charlie Gonzalez is to this team, what Gutierrez has done as well, he is all heart, man. And you can really see that manifesting throughout the season, but especially in this match.
Boris Pardo, tremendous. Both games, tremendous. Right there, probably his best save of the weekend. That's a Wallace scorer for most teams in most situations. Boris read it. He was perfectly positioned. And it was impossible for the Blast to like corner pocket that ball. There you saw a penalty against the Blast. Soccer special teams steps up. 2 power play goals for San Diego. Here's Childs. He even gets 2 chances to put that one home on the center from Leo for 3-1.
Yeah, and once again, like the style that they've been incorporating with the new pieces and how well Morales has been able to acclimate to this squad and be important and be that person that you always have to take care of, and you always have to make sure he is where he is, because he opens up spaces where Childs is just going to be lethal. And it's still Craig Childs, man, like incredible. Like I was watching him more discover the magic of Craig Childs next to me, and it's just so phenomenal what he can do at his age.
Chance right there for 4-1, but Julian Rodriguez loses spatial recognition, paws the ball outside of the white crease. I called that in real time. They went to video review, and there you see it. And I think this is one of 2 times all weekend that I said something definitively, and I was actually right. But there it is. Shootout. Oh, good save. Guy, he'll come up more when we, talk Utica Baltimore. But Julian Rodriguez had a great game the day before. That was his best moment. But then the ensuing power play, destructive shot by Morales. Just absolutely unstoppable rocket for 4-1.
Yeah, after that, Baltimore was just crestfallen. Like, I think that shot alone was what shattered Blast and just blasted him into another immoral, dimension there. And at that point, Rodriguez just falls back. There's nothing for him to do. He just sits on his butt. Like, okay, I guess I'll just make the shot picture better. Hopefully Ryan got a shot of that.
Baltimore makes their run. This is a lovely one, too. Key Von Frater, I think, was one of the most impressive players that came through the tournament this weekend. The young Blast forward only had 7 games in the regular season, but this is classic number 9 play right here. The hold up, leave it off for Pereira. Perfect angle, perfect shot for 3-2. Frater had multiple assists after having 2 goals and an assist in the quarterfinals. So really well done there. And then the other player that we came to see, Chad Porch of the Blast, a really interesting dude in terms of the way he runs. But right here, given that chance, gets around, perfect tight angle goal, 4-3. This is the Blast's moment in this run of play, Tony, these 2 goals.
And you can really see how the Blast were showcasing what made them the team that they were this season. And it's those moments of brilliance, right? The team itself has heart, but it's very difficult when you're playing against a collective like the San Diego Sockers, where individual plays like this just won't cut it at the end of the scoreline. And it still give massive respect to how well Baltimore was playing in these moments.
Sebastian Mendez, biggest goal of the game, in my opinion, because it stems Baltimore's momentum. It turns it all the way back around. It happens in quick order so that the game did not get nervous and the Blast did not build confidence. And this is just a lovely, offensive third in, short side outmanned break. You have a 2v1 in a very short window, and Mendez takes advantage.
And it's not his preferred foot, too. Like, he's not necessarily a righty per trade, but I can't even kick with the opposite leg like that, and I've kicked the ball for years.
This is Pee Wee's moment of the weekend. And boy, in real time and in one replay, I thought it was for sure a handball, but you go back and look at it, and Arturo Ibarra was very firm with me in the booth. He said, chest. This is chest. This is all chest. And I think that slow-mo replay that Eddie created shows it definitively. It's chest. Now, set piece, and guess what? Childs spots weakness in the wall. Who passes the ball into the net better than Craig Childs? Talk about his shot, sure. Talk about his power, but who passes the ball into the net better than Craig Childs?
Yeah, again, in Spanish we call that colmillo. It's just the presence of mind, the veteran edge that knows that, okay, you're going to give me that? All right, here you go. That's all the space a player of a quality of Craig Childs needs. And I'm glad that he's also just sharpening that knife going into the next round. Because at this point, you had a feeling. You just had a feeling.
You absolutely did. First half, 5-3. Soccer squad doing the job, 6-3 here. Third quarter, things are gonna go all San Diego the rest of the way. Fourth quarter, domination. The steal, the blast, the golazo, 7-3. Leo doing it all. He's one of those players. I mean, he's a championship level player. When he comes to bring his best, he brought a lot of his best this weekend.
There's been moments where I've seen Leo this season and even last season just not have that smile. And I think we're getting to that moment where he's really enjoying his play again, and he's ready to prove and shut some mouths up. And he wants to get that done in Chihuahua for sure.
Incredible pass to start this sequence here by Boris Pardo. Leo leaves it for Gutierrez. It's the fourth quarter, so on your game card, add +10 to all Gutierrez attacks from the end of the third quarter onward. So there's Gutierrez for 8-3. Soccer's goal 2 of 3 for Cristian.
Yeah, and again, just the Sockers were just plowing through. They were just going through their motions. And if they find a goal, they're going to get it. Here you go. I've stumbled across a goal. This is how this play should go. This is how we're going to execute whenever whoever is across from us. And it's good to see them again. Keep at it. Keep at it. Keep at it.
There's the hat trick. A pet theory that I've developed here along the way is let's send a Christmas card to Onua Obasi, because the Sockers have had to play against more sixth attacker this year by probably 8x than they have in any previous season. And I feel now they're almost impregnable against it. Like, and I don't want to say that and then see them concede 5 goals. So I'm going to knock wood right now and knock the evil fairies out. But what do you think about that theory? Like, we used to always say the Sockers don't practice enough against 6 attackers. They don't see it enough. They always get caught, flat-footed. Now they're just annihilating 6 attackers. They put in 4 goals so quick against Baltimore 6 attacker that they're just like, 5.5 left. Never mind. We're gonna shut this down.
Yeah, no, I love that. And even going down where they go into a power play situation, right? And they have 1 man down. Okay, that's fine. We know how to be in an eternal power play situation. We know how to create our own space within these lines. And that's actually a good shout. I hadn't thought about that, but hey, gracias, Obasi. We got a free practice out of a couple of those games.
Last goal of the weekend, Los Brasileños Juntos, as Leo gets a steal and just sees Costa directly in front of him. And even at 10-3, it was too tasty to pass up. So Sockers get 1 more. And that's where the score is going to wind up settling here, Tony.
Yeah, again, a clinic of what's made the San Diego Sockers this season, and really give a lot of hope. And again, I'll mention it, shutting mouths up. And I think that'll include myself for a lot of the time where I'm like, this beginning of the season, can they do this? Oh man, they're losing against Tacoma. I don't know if it's going to be okay. They're figuring things out. Hey, can they score 10 double digits? Oh, okay, they can. Can they beat certain teams and certain they can? It's by 1, barely, but every point in this season, the Sockers have been able to prove something that they haven't in seasons past. And that alone gives me a little bit of hope, a little bit of that, dangerous mixture of hopium that I'm kind of starting to want to take. And I don't know, Craig, I think, man, we're in for a good time in the next 2 weeks for the Ron Newman Cup final.
Yes, because I was just going to say, they've done that. They've ticked every box except one, winning in Chihuahua. And not only did they not win in Chihuahua, they didn't lose in overtime. They didn't lose by a goal. They got their asses smacked twice in Chihuahua, including the worst loss in the history of the franchise, going all the way from Julie V to Gabriel Costa, the worst loss in franchise history, 12-2 down in Chihuahua. So that's the one. And if you're looking at it cinematically, the final boss battle, it probably has to be game 3. Okay. Great review. Really durable wins. San Diego, honestly, Tony, if I had to describe this, to somebody, a complete neutral in a completely neutral situation, I would say they just took care of business. They had a team that they had to beat in Empire. They had a team that they're supposed to beat in Baltimore. They beat them both. They beat the Blast very soundly. That's encouraging. I don't think the Blast are of the same class right now as San Diego. I think they're a nice team for the East. I don't think the East is anywhere in the class of what's happening on the West Coast and what's happening in Mexico in this league. And Milwaukee is not on the East Coast. Milwaukee is a good team. Kansas City fell apart. We can talk about these things as we continue, but I really believe that if Tacoma and Empire played the schedules of Milwaukee and Baltimore, that those franchises would have flipped spots. And it would have been one of those teams out. It could have been a Baltimore out. It could have been a Milwaukee out, and it would have been other teams down in the 7-8, down in the 6-7-8. I really do think that, because I think the Sockers in Chihuahua are so clearly the class of this field that for the other teams, it comes down to how many times did you have to play those teams?
And the thing about it too is that there was a lot of discussion of like, well, there's this Monterey team down in Mexico last year that's going to take all the shine and all the highlights. But what I like about what the Sockers have done is that it's last year's Sockers. They have known the lows of the low. They know what it feels like to not even make it to the final. They know what it feels like to get booted out by this exact same team. So again, you mentioned, the storybook, right? They have to finish the story. That's going back to, just wrestling, right? Last year's WrestleMania, finish the story against the final boss, The Rock. Cody Rhodes needs to go ahead and do it. Finish the story. The Sockers have the opportunity now to do that. And in this 1 through 12 situation, with all the teams put to the table together, it created different storylines throughout the year. And that's one of them that I really enjoyed, right? That playoff piece, the 8th place. Who are the Sockers going to play? Who is Chihuahua going to play? Is the ambush going to go ahead and be enough for team for Chihuahua? And let me tell you, it looked like it for a couple minutes there. But what ended up happening
I think Tacoma would have beat him. I think Tacoma would have beat him like 4-2. I really do.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll get there shortly.
But yeah, I mean, again, I really think that this moving forward can be good if worked on by the MISL. So give them kudos for being able to create storylines until the last moment. And look, we're here now talking about Tacoma, and there's only 2 teams left in the tournament, and that's good and healthy for the league moving forward. So kudos on that. Hopefully the kudos keep happening, but we'll see.
We'll see. Soccer's in the finals. We'll get to Chihuahua's path to the finals here right now as we switch from our match recaps into MASL news, which is the recap of the rest of the weekend at Front Wave Arena, Ron Newman Cup quarterfinal action. I think we could go from most to least interesting of the other quarterfinals, which means we'll start with the game that you and Jesse Beltran had on Saturday night, Kansas City and Milwaukee. The Comets fell into this matchup by losing 6 of their last 8 down the stretch. Milwaukee rose into this matchup by winning 5 out of 6 with Frank Taiyu in the lineup. And as it really turned out, Tony, it was a double-edged thing getting Taiyu for Milwaukee. Not only did they get Frank Taiyu, who was just very much Frank Taiyu, late career Frank Taiyu during the weekend. He didn't explode. But Taiyu commands enough attention to allow Ian Bennett to roam and to find his shooting lanes and to find less defensive attention. And I think that's the real key to Milwaukee's resurgence with Taiyu. And it's why I think Milwaukee should strongly consider re-signing Frank Taiyu for next year, is because it's given Ian Bennett a new lease on life.
I had the privilege to be next to the Milwaukee bench during the Chihuahua Milwaukee, and you can just see what type of a human being and soccer player Bennett is. And let me tell you, that's a guy that enjoys every second of it. And I really enjoyed being able to see that edge that he brings. And man, when he's on the Mount Rushmore, like, he is solidified on there by the intensity, quality of play, just the everything. He's the real deal for indoor soccer. So yeah, the way that they were coming into it, they were flying high earlier without Taiyu. They have that missing piece now, but really kind of opening up different avenues for Milwaukee to hurt you. And another player that I think had a standout postseason is Bonahene. William Bonahene, I think, had a really great postseason. Up until the last second, just, there's only so much that a goalkeeper can do, but I really enjoyed watching him play live.
I agree. In fact, I kind of kept developing this thesis, and it's carried through games I've watched Milwaukee on TV, and now I'm locking it in, having watched them a few times in person, which is that Milwaukee has a ton of talent. They have a ton of ability, and they're also a team that is just vulnerable to making really dumb mistakes, like just defensive errors that lead to complete wide open goals or lead to 2v1 situations, just like, ooh, like whether it's lack of focus, whether it's attention to detail, I don't know what it is, but I saw it with the Wave. We'll get into it more, I think, in the semifinal. But in this game, it was back and forth. It was forth and back, and then Milwaukee takes control in the second half, and they really do it with Bennett. And Bennett had some great goals along the way. I really enjoyed. I watched this whole one in Spanish. I really enjoyed your call with Jesse on this game. And you can see Frank is just such a difference maker, because even though he's not who he used to be, he's not explosive the way he used to be. He's a bit robotic in terms of what he does. It's a bit predictable what he does, but he still has that knack, and he still demands that respect. And I think that was just a gigantic part of what made Milwaukee so dangerous down the stretch.
Yeah, and it got into the heads of Kansas City. They really just had to take just an account of where he was at all times, and again, opening up those spaces for the superstars, as you said, that Milwaukee has, and they're able to make it on one side of the ball. But I think Milwaukee's the only team that doesn't know how good they can be, and they just get in their own way. And we really saw it here live. And you know what? That's good for Milwaukee moving forward. They seem to be well coached. They seem to be heading into a right direction if they can continue it. So really good things happening over in Wisconsin with this team. And I again kind of fell a little bit in love with them sitting next to and waiting to, am I going to be needed to translate in Spanish for Chihuahua or Milwaukee? And I'll just be hands-on and enjoy just kind of the joy. But yeah.
Well, the second most entertaining quarterfinal that wasn't San Diego was the very first one, played in front of dozens at Front Wave Arena, the deadest crowd by far, which was St. Louis. I look, it was more of, in my opinion, Chihuahua finding an utter inability to deal with the turf at Front Wave Arena. This was their first time blue, or maybe their second time on the blue turf, but they were frozen, man. I mean, Paolo made some great saves in the first half. Paolo was outstanding overall for St. Louis, but for this to be 1-1, like 58 minutes or 59 minutes into this match, that's crazy.
No, this really showed that there is real vulnerability for Chihuahua on the big, not just the big turf, but the new turf. And I think they're seeing ghosts here. And you don't want this Chihuahua team to figure it out at the wrong time. And there is no other time than coming up with against the Sockers now. But on the other side of it, like it's a game that they eventually found a way to win. And at the end of the day, that's a championship team needs to do that. They get the ugliest of wins here. It's heartbreaking how close they were for St. Louis to really have that opportunity to just turn that gear. They got on their own way. They clearly ran out of gas. And you know what? This was their stop on the bus. This was where they were meant to go. Congratulations. You made it. And you gave Chihuahua your all. So you pushed their limits. I don't think, if you're a St. Louis Ambush fan, you cannot ask for a better performance against the current rating defending bicampeón. That's 2-time champs. So kudos to them.
Well, I agree with you. And I don't know that there were a ton of Ambush fans out there. I know there are some, but if I was Nick,
we're all there, Craig.
or St. Louis, Lux St. Louis, like I'd just bemoan the complete lack of offense that St. Louis had in this game. And it's kind of the funny thing, they traded Taiu and went on a run to get to the playoffs, and then they get to this game, and the thing they need more than anything is Frank Taiu. Like, they need one guy who can be the crux of the defensive attention, who can set up goals, who can get a guy like SK loose, who can get a guy like Hundelt loose, and none of that happened. And so we just sat at 1-1 with Chihuahua, just hearts racing, so many shots misplaced. And they did that in their semifinal as well. So many shots that they fired high, so many opportunities left wanting. And then it comes to the end of the game, 2-1, they bring in a sixth attacker, and it just goes completely pear-shaped as St. Louis gives up 3 sixth attacker goals in quick form for 5-1 for Chihuahua. And you look at that and you say, oh, Chihuahua controlled the game. They didn't. It was 1-0 or 1-1 the whole game until the last, 2 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, again, the scoreline doesn't tell the story of what a good match St. Louis ended up playing. It was funny because at that point, Phil Salvaggio came in and was watching at some point early in the match, second half, right behind goal. And somebody asked him, hey, are you watching for Chihuahua? Best response was, well, we're focusing on ourselves. Great. Do it. That's what you need to do. That's exactly what I need to hear that the soccer's coach is doing. Yeah, sure. Take in the feeling of Front Wave Arena because it's still a playoff atmosphere and what's happening within the board. So just focus on yourself. And I think that's the best philosophy moving forward. But yeah, I agree. Second on the tier of quarterfinal action.
Honestly, third was probably Soccer Strikers, a game that had a lot of the life choked out of it by the system. But San Diego gets a very technical win. And then fourth on the list is Baltimore beating Utica for the 6th time in 7 games. A 6-2 final, a game that, here's the 2 things you need to know about this game. Thing number 1, and then you almost don't need thing number 2. Thing number 1 is Kelvin Oliveira was unavailable. So, without Kelvin Oliveira, Utica is a very simple offensive team. They're the players who have gotten a lot of goals have gotten those goals because of the attention that Oliveira gets. When they're forced to be primary playmakers, they have a very difficult time generating the offense. They have a very difficult time generating the double teams or beating double teams or passing quickly out of double teams. So Utica's offense was choked for the most part. That's thing 1. Thing 2 is that Julian Rodriguez was on Utica last year and was told, from what I was told behind the scenes, was told by Utica's management to his face, eye to eye, man to man, you won't play in this league. You're not good enough. We're going to let you go. You're not good enough to play for Utica City FC. And now he's playing for Baltimore, one of Utica's prime rivals. And Julian Rodriguez was the reason that Baltimore won this game, Tony. He stopped 13 of 15 shots. He stopped several point-blank shots. He was dynamic throughout the match, and then Baltimore took control of it late. But, at the points where it was 3-2, at the points where it was 2-2, it was Rodriguez making huge saves one after another. This was his Super Bowl, and he won it.
Don't give a player a reason. Don't give a professional soccer player a reason to prove you wrong, and especially a goalkeeper in a sport that it's not 11v11. Like, no, they are so vital and can really impact a game, and that's what Rodriguez did. And you know what? Again, I love hearing the storylines kind of conclude in that way. And congratulations to Rodriguez for, again, callando bocas, just shutting people down.
100%. Baltimore wins this one 6-2. It was a pretty big yawner, which led us to the semifinals. And the first semifinal was the best game of the tournament, to be sure. But I want to say this and be really, really clear about it. Chihuahua did what they were supposed to do. The Savage, because they were the number 1 seed, got to play the first game of the tournament and get the maximum rest for their semifinal. They got the absolute most rest of any team in the 8-team tournament, going from game 1 to the semifinals. Milwaukee, which did great to beat Kansas City, but they were in the back half of the bracket. And they played the night game on Saturday, and they had a built-in, planned fatigue disadvantage going into Sunday. They had to play their game wrapped up around close to 10 p.m. on Saturday night. They were back on the floor at 2 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. So you can do that math pretty quick. It's about a 16-hour layoff. And you're supposed to sleep half of that time. Like, it was basically an impossible impossible situation for the Wave if they found themselves in a close game going to overtime to be able to hang in there. And they played just well enough to create the exact scenario by which they were going to be in the maximum disadvantage.
Tough love, it might be, but you kind of had it though. They kind of had it though. And again, it's not to take any of that out of it, because after the match, they were talking about, wait, what time's the game tomorrow? 10 a.m. Because they're also not from this time zone. Like, also you need to factor those things in, where it's 2 hours after they would normally finish a game over in Milwaukee. They're here on the West Coast. They have to prepare after the match. They have to go through their calisthenics, their cool downs as a team, get back to the hotel, try to rest, and then get back on the floor, start warming up for the biggest game of the year. It's just doesn't make any sense to just have the parity say, or just be leveled in that situation. But again, like you said, Chihuahua did their thing. No blame on them, because they just, hey, okay, sure, you're gonna give me that, I'll take it. But even then, Milwaukee tried their best, and they wanted it so bad. And it was incredible to see the players come together, and every time they were knocked down, they just kept getting up. They just kept getting up. It was phenomenal to see.
Well, that was the thing about this match, because the match began with Chihuahua getting an immediate 2-0 lead, and the Wave looking like a team that was completely exhausted, stiff legs, cramping muscles, knees aching, back sore, everything sore. They gave up a goal on a mistake, and then they gave up an outman rush. It was 2-0. It was a very routine. Look at that, right? Look at that moment right there and say that one team is a champion and the other one's going to lose, right? Like, that looks like the end of a blowout loss, and it's in front of no crowd. It's in front of no energy. And it's 2-0 Chihuahua. So right there, if you want to talk about, we're going to get to a foul later in the game. All right. But for any Wave fan that's watching, for Kelsey or for Adam or for anyone else, this is where you lose the game. You lose the game. You come out, you're down 2 spit immediately. You're playing the worst you can, and you've given Chihuahua an opportunity to build an advantage. The Savage are a club that takes the advantages they're given. They're very Mike Schilt Padres in that way. They'll take whatever's given, and they don't want to give up very many things. So 2-0 there. From that point forward, and I know the computer's getting spinny on you, but from that point until about mid-4th quarter, the Wave are clearly the better team. They find their legs. The lactic acid recedes. Ian hits this banger that goes off the back of Reynoso and in. He always gets his team activated. He does his dance. Everyone gets fired up. And that thing that I said earlier, Tony, that the Wave are capable of great plays and dumb mistakes, they got into the great play mode, and it really looked like they were going to win this game for quite a period of time.
It gave everybody hope, and I think the combination of fantastic things to happened. The energy just came in. Like, everybody was resuscitated by the energy that some of the soccer fans were bringing. I saw Gabriel saying, it became everybody versus Chihuahua, everybody for Wave. It wasn't even against Chihuahua. It was like, wow, they're going to do this. They are going to have the opportunity, and they're going to take it. They're getting knocked down. They are getting hurt, but they just weren't giving up. But unfortunately, those mistakes kept coming up, and I think that's the difference, right? Wave just had too many mistakes, and Chihuahua just is lethal in those moments, and you cannot give them any sort of space. But amazing what they were able to do, and really just the players just came through. And again, sitting next to that bench, the intensity just emanating after every call, like it's a different feel altogether. Just the arguments, the composure that some of the players have to say, hey, I know you didn't get that call right now, but it'll come, and talking everybody through each other and lifting each other up. and they focused on themselves. That was a team that focused on what made them this season. And it took them to the last second, and he literally gave blood, sweat, and tears in that match. And again, nothing but respect for Milwaukee Wave in this matchup. It's unfortunate circumstances, but man, they had it.
Well, there's no question about it, and I agree with everything you said. And I think the guy who was kind of the talisman of the Wave for the weekend was Javier Steinwasser. I did not realize until watching these games with him in person how good on the ball Javi Steinwasser is, how clever he is. He's close to Leo in his ability to be able to be in a double team and do fancy dribbling and get out of it. He has eyes in the back of his head. He tries to make fancy plays. He's very, very clever, and he's a very, very good player in this league. But in this game at 5-5, he makes a really unfocused pass out of the back with about 3 minutes left to play, 2.5, 3 minutes left to play. That is a giveaway 2v1 the other direction for Chihuahua that gives the Savage the lead 6-5. And then Tayu makes a beautiful outdoor play and, does the sacrificial header goal, sitting there on the back post and just throwing his head in there for 6-6. And in overtime, Steinwasser has the game on his foot in a very challenging situation, one where I would just fall down and break my hip. Okay, so I want to be clear that I'm not criticizing the player. He was up in the air. He was in the middle of a leap, elevated, but he was in the middle of the crease. The ball came right to his foot in his swinging path, and he just had the whole net in front of him. And he missed. It was one of those things, but everyone saw it and went, game. Oh, nope. Wide. And as I said multiple times in the arena that night, Tony, when you're the underdog, when you're the quote unquote lesser team, you get one of those moments. You don't get two.
It was heartbreaking seeing that exit body language that the players had was just so deflating in that moment, because they knew they knew like that was it. And again, I cannot diminish anybody's talent at that point. Like it's the same thing. Like, would I have done? No, I probably would have whiffed on it. I probably would have, what do I know at that point? They put the entire weekend into that kick. Everything we've mentioned, time, the cramping, there's no amount of green drop compression that can help these players in those moments, because they've been giving it their all. And the first person I went and looked at was Bennett. And there was a moment where that smile kind of cracked. It was like, oh, he knew. And that entire bench knew. It was just a matter of time. And it became almost like, just wait Chihuahua out. Get him to shootouts. Get him to shootouts. You're not going to get another offensive chance. You're not going to get there. Just wait it out. Wait it out. Chihuahua has championship pedigree. They are the real deal. They are.
Both teams had a controversial non-handball late in the fourth quarter. Those have been shown on MASL Monday. You can go find that on YouTube, here on YouTube, on MASL TV. I think both of the decisions wind up being correct. This is the one I thought was but he kicked it up into his arm, and that's the whole thing. He didn't control it with his arm. He kicked it into his arm, Mario Alvarez, and that is what was said to me very definitively by the officials, that that's not a handball because he kicked it into his arm. If he had brought it down out of the play like that, 100% it's a handball, it's a shootout, it's all of those things. But that was the one that you're like, wait, because outdoors, like, come on. And Flacco had one on the other side that it looked like he turned his body using his hand to control the ball back to the keeper, and they said no, natural position, it's all good. But then in overtime, the winning goal by Castañeda comes at the end of a counterattack, which started with Javier Steinwasser deep in the Chihuahua zone. And Steinwasser, I will just say, in the estimation of the commissioner of the league and the head official, is fouled on the play. A foul is committed by Chihuahua. It's not called on the floor. They play on. The ball goes the other way, and Castañeda makes a good goal. Here we see the play, and you start, and here's take a second to get to Javi. Here's Javi, and there's the foul. Okay, play on. You see Milwaukee ask. The question isn't answered. The counter's on. Castañeda, great run. Great goal. I mean, really, really, really good goal. That's the way, in general, you want a semifinal to end, is like that. But, Tony, I can tell you from the North production booth that 10 minutes after this result, there was a commissioner and a head of officials with the replay ref, with the VAR ref, showing that play, going, foul. Foul. Right there. That's a foul. And I kind of thought the eye in the sky VAR was for moments like this. And I kind of feel like the moment overwhelmed the mission, and that they did not want a Shane Butler redo, and they didn't want a golden moment to be erased on a technicality. But it is a foul. And if it was NFL style, all goals are reviewed, all goals are scrutinized, then I think clearly it is a foul and the game should continue. Again, we're watching Steinwasser. Hang on, Steinwasser here, and right there, he gets his leg taken out. So it's not a big deal. It's not a blue card or nothing, but it should be a restart and a direct kick for Milwaukee in the attacking zone. And instead it was play on, and then it was a golden goal. And I do, just my personal opinion is that there was a blink. There was a blink in the moment of like, is this enough? Is this egregious enough for us to reverse this outcome? And the answer in the moment was no. But Tony, if 4,000 Milwaukee fans were booing out of their mind, it would have been a different decision. I'll tell you that right now. It would have been a different decision. The neutral court won this moment for Chihuahua because in that moment, in the dynamics of the moment, they did not feel suited to make that call. But I think 4,000 people booing in their ears would have been enough impetus for them to make that call.
I'll always side with the letter of the law. What does it say? According to the letter of the law, that was a foul. There was a moment, and I know we're kind of sharing some anecdotes on the behind the scenes, right? And so there was a moment too where a video replay was asked on different angles, and there was different angles of what we just saw, and it was pointed out, tell me where the foul was. And there was a moment where you pointed out where the legs were cut out from Steinwasser that I can see why it's not a foul. But there is a moment after that where clearly two hands go on Steinwasser's back in order to keep him down. That's the foul. That there's no ball there. There's that. If the first one wasn't a foul, okay, I can see why that's not a foul. I can also see why it's a foul. 100%. That gets called 5 out of 10 times. Sure. The next action was hands on back. No question about it. That's what it was. 3 angles that this video, the uploaded game doesn't show that. And upon review, if this is the learning moment moving forward for the officiating crew, for the league, I'm sorry, it just had to be at the cost of the Milwaukee Wave. But that should have been a foul. No question about it. That ensuing play should not have been a great goal by Chihuahua. That moment should have been stopped. Would Milwaukee have taken the opportunity in that moment and then scored? They move on. Now we have soccer's. We'll never know. They could have missed it for all we know, lost in shootouts because of their tired legs, the lack of folk. Like, we don't know. But that moment was robbed from a sense of, did this happen? Should have been a foul? We'll never know. That reality, nobody will know. What we do know is that Chihuahua took care of business. Punto final. They did what they were supposed to do. And again, much like the schedule, you put yourself in first place, you get this bonus added on.
Yeah, by winning the Shield, they got the opportunity to get to a quick start in that game, to build a +2 that they had to play with over the course of the match, and then to get to an even situation in overtime where the leg advantage had to be like 3x in favor of Chihuahua, all things considered. And then they took advantage of that. Now, just barely. So from a San Diego Soccer's centric or wave centric perspective, you despair, you wonder, you kvetch, you cry about the foul and everything else. But I think if you can step to a neutral perspective, and I'm trying to do that as the guy that everyone in the league that's not from here says is completely unneutral, Chihuahua simply cashed in the advantages they earned. And taking advantage of what you've been given should be praised, not like, oh, you just took advantage of it. Like, no, you earned that. Like, you earned it. You took advantage of it. You're in the final. This is the Shield winning team, the back-to-back champion, that was thrown into a tournament that, if you wanted to make the narrative argument, was simply designed to defeat Chihuahua, I think you could. We'll take Chihuahua out of their country, off their arena. They don't get to play in their arena at all until the finals. They're going to have to play at the arena that's the single worst for them to play at. They're going to play in front of no crowds. They're going to have no advantage along the way. At some point, they're going to face a really difficult team. And everyone that wasn't a Savage fan was hoping, praying, lighting candles that this scenario would trip up the back-to-back bicampeones. And it didn't. Chabo got the job done. Rios got the job done. La Roca got the job done. Escalante got the job done. The goalkeeper tandem. Castañeda, they got the job done. And because of that, the Savage are supposed to win a third straight Ron Newman Cup. They have gone through the gauntlet. They have gone all the way through the crucible of fire, and they have gotten what they have earned, which is the grand final at the most ridiculous arena in the league, Corner Sport Arena, on the hardest surface in the league, with, at best, compromised refs, people putting into a very difficult situation, trying to do the best job they can. Everything stacked in favor of Chihuahua now. Chihuahua must win their third straight championship. They've never had a better situation than what they have right now. The grand final guaranteed at home. And Tony, as we transition into this preview, Chihuahua had the option: 3 full games or 2 and a mini. And they chose 2 and a mini. And unless Corner Sport Arena is about to be booked for the next 2 months straight for something, for the life of me, I do not know why Chihuahua made this choice. I think it's the single worst choice for their competitive advantage that they could make.
Give them more time, right? Again, if they're going to give an opening, if Chihuahua is going to give an opportunity for the San Diego Sockers to have an opening and take advantage of, the Sockers have to take care of it. Because, again, Chihuahua's done everything necessary to say, hey, we are the class. We are the measuring mark of MASL. And even if everything's stacked against us, we're going to go ahead and just rise above. And they've risen above. They have every reason to remain at top. Why they would do that, I don't know. But the Sockers must take advantage of it. And it's going to set up very interesting dynamics in terms of coaching. And this game, much like we've been saying, this series is going to go down to coaching and managing. And you know what? Again, we can get into visas, we get into that, but that's what it's going to come down to. How are you going to manage this 3-game series in the allotted time and make sure that you take advantage of what is presented and what's been gifted to you, the Sockers? How are you going to go ahead?
Couldn't be better.
Yep.
Schedule could not be better for San Diego. There's a week in between matches, so you don't worry at all about Boris Pardo's health and effectiveness, Craig Child's health and effectiveness. Keith, good question. Don't know the answer. Literally don't know the answer. Why couldn't they play Friday and Sunday? Why couldn't they play Friday and Saturday? If they came out and said, Game 2 of the finals is Friday the 18th. We're never going to play on Easter Sunday because we're not stupid. Sorry. So Game 3 will be Saturday the 19th, back to back. Show me the path for the Sockers to win the title. Show me the path. For them to go to Corner Sport Arena and play back to back. For them to go to Corner Sport Arena and have to start their backup goalkeeper. Like, so now are you starting Waltman in Game 2 or Game 3? What are you going to do? Like, basically an impossibility. Yeah. But instead, they're going to play it all in one day, which means the formula that Chihuahua has used against San Diego each of the last 3 seasons is reversed. This is the 4th straight season for Sockers Savage. The first 3 saw Chihuahua win Game 1 on the road, or game 1 on their home field. Sockers on the road. Take it to San Diego, up 1-0. Home team has to win twice in the same day. And in 2022, the Sockers did it. They barely beat. Well, no, they controlled Chihuahua in game 2. And then they went out and they blew out Chihuahua in the mini game. They won 4-0. The TJ counter. It was Gutierrez. It was Juan Manuel Rojo. They did it. It was 4-0. Sockers move on. But Chihuahua learned. Chihuahua learned from the first year. And they came out in 2022-23 and they said, we've got a strategy now. Right? Beat the Sockers in match 1. Come out in match 2. Let's focus on possession. Let's focus on bleeding. Let's make you run. Let's make you defend. Let's make you hold. We're not going to put everything into this match. We're going to put a lot. We're not going to put everything. We're going to let you put everything into the match to beat us. And we're going to sag back. We're going to pack the box. We're going to chill. We're going to pass the ball around. Sockers won. Sockers won in overtime. Sockers won in regulation time. Sockers celebrated. The Pechanga Arena crowd roared. The team high-fived. They went into the tunnel. And 15 minutes later, the Savage ran out in a new kit. 15 minutes later, the Savage ran out. Fresh kits, fresh laundry, fresh attitude. And they took it to San Diego. 1-0 overtime. 22 minutes of 0-0. But Chihuahua wore them down. Water on rock. Drip, 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 drip. Wore them down. Beat them on the Golazo by Popar. Then, last year, 23-24, Sockers take the lead in the minigame. But Chihuahua does the same thing. Wore them down. 2-1. Final score. Grind them to dust by the end. The Savage played chess. They were willing to sacrifice the queen in order to get to checkmate. They were willing to sacrifice game 2 to win the knockout game. And Tony, Have the Savage not offered their playbook on bent knee and outstretched hands to San Diego for the 25 Ron Newman Cup Finals?
If this was the Avengers movie, I believe when Doctor Strange puts up that one finger and says, "There is one way to beat him." This is it. It's on a silver platter for the Sockers to take advantage, but they have to do their part. They have to go ahead and play this correctly. There is no room for error in terms of what happens on the floor and what happens with the planning behind the scenes. This is going to take a team effort to face the best team out there. I can't tell you what a jaw-dropping moment it was when I remember them coming out here at Pechanga Arena with brand new uniforms. I think everything slowed down and Back in Black started playing as a slow motion walked onto Pechanga Arena, Ron Newman pit, and just, oh, okay. And the Sockers haven't been able to recover from that. They really haven't. There's regular season wins. There's regular season this, but when it matters, they've been punched in the mouth. They were knocked out that moment as a franchise and told, hey, you're a little brother now. And the Sockers have not been able to come back and do anything meaningful from there. But this is a chance. But you have to take it, because I'm looking at some of these players, right? It's when's the next time that they're going to have a chance to be together, as healthy as they are, as young as they are, because they're never going to be this young again, right? Even if it's a year next year, they're never going to be this young. This is the opportunity for some of these. Looking at, again, Danny Waltman, I think, has really put a breath of fresh air into some of these older players. And you can definitely see that intangible coming through the Sockers. There is something different going into what's happening at Front Wave Arena. But it's not what's happening at Front Wave Arena that's going to be important. It's what's going to happen at Corner Sport Arena. Do you have what it takes to go in there and give Chihuahua some of their own medicine? You have to almost mirror exactly what they've been doing. This is the Karate Kid. This is that moment where, like, all right, we've been training for this exact moment. Sometimes I got to go ahead and give you some of your little 1, 2, 3s and then put you and sit you back down. What happens after is whatever. You don't know what's going to happen. This league might go into, here's your partner for the team. Whoever wins best out of 3 makes the playoffs, whatever. I don't know. But this is storybook for these two franchises. And literally everything's come into this moment. But the Sockers have to get it done at Front Wave. If they don't, I mean, back it up. It's like, what are we even doing next week? What are we even doing next week? Right?
Hey, I hate to be this way, but I also can't lie. I have this really hard problem when a microphone's in front of me about lying. So if the Sockers lose on Sunday, they shouldn't make the trip. Like, go ahead and hire John Ponce and everyone else to lose, 16-1 next Sunday. Let all the families on the Sockers enjoy a lovely Easter Sunday. Renee can coach the team. Phil can stay back with his daughters. Like Craig can stay back with his kids. Like, if we lose on Sunday, forget about it. But I don't think the Sockers are going to lose on Sunday. I think the Sockers are a better team on a regular field than Chihuahua, definitively. Not like 8 goals better, but 2 or 3 goals better. I think they are a better team than Chihuahua. Now, the Savage are really well coached. They've got great veteran presence. They have great game plans against San Diego, and I'm not saying Sunday will be a cakewalk. I'm not. But the Sockers have given up 5 goals in 2 games to Chihuahua on the full field. I don't see them giving up 7 goals to Chihuahua on Sunday. I just don't. And I don't think they lose unless they give up 6 or 7 goals to Chihuahua on Sunday. So I believe San Diego has everything they need to win Sunday's game, including a robust supporters presence. According to something I heard from the front office this morning, almost 100 supporters tickets have been sold. sold, not given away, sold for Sunday. And we should have a real supporters presence. And I think that's critical for San Diego Chihuahua. So indoor supporter presence, keep 2 defenders back. That's another thing that I heard multiple times from both St. Louis and Milwaukee's tapes. Like, attack with 3, keep 2 defenders back. Don't let the counter be wide open for Chihuahua. Can Chihuahua really score if they don't have the counter on? That's the question you have to ask the Savage over and over. Can you generate 5 goals, half court run of play without counter, without spread field? Because down there, it's like there's a shot, it comes off the plastic goal boards, it kangaroos to midfield, somebody steps on it, throws one flip pass to a dude racing the wall, and then he shoots it in, and that's pinball at Corner Sport Arena. But you can't do that in San Diego. So Sunday's game to me comes down to no dumb mistakes, no red cards, no silly blue cards, defenders back, kill the counter for Chihuahua, force them to beat you, run of play. I got to be honest, Tony, I would give them 4 straight chances on San Diego's field under those circumstances, and I would bank, $1,000 a game on those results, and I'd let it ride each game. Like, I don't think Chihuahua can overcome that.
And it's a matter of the soccer is just really making sure that they take the advantage of the big field, because I mean, thinking about the future and what the eventual need for the figuring out Corner Sport Arena, you need these big, lumbering, strong defenders to have that ramp to catch up to these quick attackers from Chihuahua. If you don't have that, Drew Ruggles is quick, he's rapid, but he needs a couple of yards to get it going and trying to get back. By the time he does that in Corner Sport Arena, it's already a goal. So that aside, here it's a matter of the soccer's really finding the spaces and not getting into Chihuahua's game. Chihuahua's game is going to be a matter of what can we do to better our situation come next week. Sure, we'll take the loss, but if I can get into Tavoy's head and I can get him riled up, even if it's not a red card,
Dude,
even if it's not a red card,
but that's what they want. That's
you.
what they want. The entire goal will be to goad Tavoy into a red card to keep him out of Mexico. And if you don't think that's on the whiteboard for Chihuahua in their locker room at Front Wave, you are kidding yourself. In a different universe, I would curse right there. You are kidding yourself. Like, that is 100%. It's like, hey, we'd love to win game 1, but if nothing else, let's specifically get Tavoy Morgan to get red carded by a league that is waiting to red card him any chance they get. Let's give him the opportunity to burn himself up and burn up the Sockers in the process.
I'm pretty sure there's a roster spot for Chihuahua designated for that, right? And again, you want to hope that everything's above board, no dark arts, but it's part of the game. It really is. Hey, let me get the bottom of the rung Chihuahua Savage guy to get out there and just foul Tavoy, annoy him. Somebody else is going to come in. Oh, we're going to go ahead and have Rios or La Roca just foul him a little stronger. And okay, that's fine. Get up. Now this other guy is going to just poke him, slice him, death by 1,000 paper cuts. Get rid of him. Sure, that guy's going to get a red card. He won't play the next game, but he's nobody important. That's fine. Okay, fine. That's my sacrifice for my next card that's going to come up. Corner Sport Arena, Tavoy out. It's them trying to. I don't want to speak into existence, but it's what's going to happen. It's what the best team would do. That's the preparation. That's a championship level team. It's a rake in the eye. Like you shouldn't have done that, but hey, it's there. I'm sorry, I won't do it again, but I got it done. The job is done already. Don't get yourself lured into that moment.
100%. If the Sockers take care of business, they will win on Sunday. And then it will come down to what it's supposed to come down to. Chihuahua has built the entire season around, they have developed a fortress an impregnable fortress. They're going to do just enough to make the finals go through the fortress. They'll defend the fortress and they'll win the championship. It's that simple. It's simple. It's logical. And here's the math behind it. I went back to do the stats for sure, Tony, before the show today. Take the Monterey Flash out of it. They're not here. Against American opponents, counting the playoffs, Chihuahua has won 32 straight matches at Corner Sport Arena. Average margin of victory is around 6 goals. They have annihilated American competition over and over and over. And the last team to beat Chihuahua in Chihuahua was the Sockers. February 24th, 2023, 9-8 overtime. You and I were at Calafino calling the game. You know, it was 2 years and almost 2 months ago, the last time that the Savage lost any game at their home park. So for San Diego to have any chance, and the Sockers have never lost a final in their MISL 1 history, in their NASL history, and in their PASL history, and in their MASL history. The only time that they ever lost was in Brian Quinn's team lost to Arizona like 2-1 in the finals in 2000 when they had that USD looking logo. That's the only time. It's the only time in the history of the franchise that they lost a final. They've won them all. They're 16-1 in finals. So like I hold that close to my heart. Like the Sockers get to a final in modern history, they're 6-0. They have found the way to win. They have found the way to win the championship. But to win the championship, they have to win in Mexico. And asking them to win twice is kind of like the dying kid asking Paul O'Neill to hit 2 homers, on Seinfeld. Like 1 is hard enough. Don't ask me to hit 2. So Sunday is the season. Win that. And you and I will be here next Tuesday talking about a very real path, a narrow one, maybe Doctor Strange, but a path to the Ron Newman Cup. If they lose on Sunday, I like I said, go hire Ponce and whoever that other kid was, number 77 that kept giving up goals. Like hire all those kids and let them go run around out there because Craig deserves a better weekend than that. Like he deserves a weekend with his family.
It's hard to not jump over and already talk about the Corner Sport Arena matches, or hopefully match singular. But it's a matter of getting it done here. And if there's one thing that we've been seeing the Sockers do this season is get the job done. It might not be pretty, but they're going to get it done. And that's an edge that we haven't seen in the last 2 seasons, I believe. And I think we were talking about this earlier. This is the Everest to climb. Beating Chihuahua is as big as it gets in modern history for the San Diego Sockers. The story of the MASL cannot be told without this matchup. And each time in modern recent memory, Chihuahua's been coming on top. They're the ones that get to hold the trophy over you. They're the 2-time champions. Like 2 times almost weighs as much as 16 times in modern history, especially the way it's happened. But I think it's a different gear that the Sockers will need to go ahead and hit. They cannot have any mistakes on Sunday. I think that's going to be the crux of this. Mistakes are fatal in finals, and there's enough players on this team that have known the end result of those mistakes, and I think they've done their share of preparing for this matchup. It's just a matter of putting the pieces in the right order.
Couldn't agree more. We will have bilingual broadcasts for you once again on Sunday, Tony will be paired with Empire's Pablo Morales from the South booth. They will be live on MASL TV. Farbs and I will be live in the North booth. We'll be live on CBS Sports Golazo Network. Tony, it's one of those kind of awkward things because you and I have been partners for a couple, three. Farbs has been so good. He's been like,
no, he is
really, 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 really good. I've loved what he's done. As you know, I wanted this year for you to be our number one Spanish play-by-play broadcaster all year. Arena had different plans, but anyways, it's all come together in the playoffs. But I think Farbs is really, duck to water. Like he knows the players, he knows the game. He's terrific.
I had joked about it even before he was paired up with you because the game that you had to open for Wave, I had him. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, 100%. I get it. No, you're Brian Barber. Like, of course you know that. Of course you know what movement happened. Like you were there not too long ago. Like you were backflipping goals. One of the last memories I have of you is you doing that. So yeah, it's fantastic. And man, does he put together well on camera. Good on him. Good job, Farbs. Learn some Spanish. If he learns some Spanish, I'm screwed.
Yeah, you might as well, But don't worry, I don't think he's gone this far. He hasn't downloaded Duolingo yet, so I think you're safe.
I kind of need him to return and unretire.
Go to court. Let's see how well he does in TST. If he scores the $1 million goal, like Texas will sign him or something, or Empire will. It'll be like, sure, why not? That's funny. All right. So tune in at 5:00 on Sunday. We hope to see a huge crowd there. FrontWaveArena.com. If you have any connection to any of the supporters groups, go find the link. It's out there for $10 tickets. We hope to see you there. Tony will be on MASL TV. I will be with Farbs on CBS Sports Golazo Network, and we will be back together next Tuesday. Sanchez, nuestro querido amigo, he will be with us from Mexico City specifically, but to talk about Chihuahua and to talk about what's to come and the grand final coming up. I have no idea what next week's playoff broadcast plans are. And I'm not sure the MASL has thought about it yet. So stay tuned. Hopefully by next Tuesday night, we'll have something along those lines. But let's get to Sunday first. Let's stay present. Let's stay in the moment. Let's stay locked in. Let's get a huge crowd. Get on out there. Let's back these boys up the Sockers. Get that win. Get halfway to the championship. Put the pressure on them in the grand final and see if we can upset their apple cart and send their fans up on Easter Sunday. Let's see if we can resurrect our championship dreams on Easter Sunday and rise back to a Ron Newman Cup status. Tony, thank you so much. Tell everyone how they can support this wonderful place, San Diego Punto Football.
Absolutely. Go ahead and find us at San Diego Punto Football on everything social, the website, San Diego Punto Football, all kinds of coverage, which, by the way, if you're a Sockers fan, I sent the link. I DM'd the link to San Diego Wave and San Diego FC's social media accounts, and I nudged them. Hey, you're complaining about the Padres aren't talking about us. We better talk about the Sockers. So let's go. Let's put it together. This is the San Diego's team. All right. This is a championship moment. All the Sockers fans, tag the Sockers on social media. Get out there. It's a soccer thing, a soccer in San Diego thing.
It is. Gabe, you did mention there in the chat, there will be free rally towels on Sunday. There will also, the Sockers have told me, there will be post-game autographs on Sunday. So let's hope that's a very festive and happy situation. I've been there for the other ones of those. You don't want that. So it should be a great, great evening. Only a 5:00 start, not 6, not 5:30. We've had all of those in the last 2 weeks. It's 5:05 for the kick on Sunday. Can't wait to see you there. All right, that's it. For Tony Sanchez, I'm Craig Elston. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
If you're watching us here on YouTube, please give us the old thumbs up, hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to San Diego Punto Football, please do so. Follow me on Instagram at 619 Sports at Life. You can follow me on Blue Sky at 619 Sports as well. I'm posting more on Instagram than Blue Sky. I don't know, whatever. Who cares? Anyways, for Tony, I'm Craig. See you Sunday. Go Sockers.